For a while, I've been thinking about doing a video on the concept of how digital distribution ruined the AAA industry. And I just kept putting it off and off and off. And then I'm watching Asmondgold, or listening to Asmondgold, and he makes this point that perfectly illustrates what I'm talking about. So I'm going to let him speak, and then I'm going to use his graph that he draws to explain the concept of how digital distribution ruined the AAA industry. Now, before we get into this, two things. One, we're very close to our 1,000 sub milestone. If you haven't subbed yet, please do so. Two, there are a lot of factors that ruin the gaming industry, not just digital distribution. All right.
Your well-known publishers, but
I feel like it's kind of like this weird, like, bell curve now that I feel, where it's like, so this is like the quality, and this is the studio, where it's like indie, this is like indie, like super indie, this is like indie, this is AA, there's a lot of A's here, but like, I unironically think that the quality for games is like this. Am I crazy? It's almost like these like mid-level studios, I feel like, are able to produce a better game at a much higher ratio.
Me, as
Okay, let's hop back to that graph real quick. Work with me. Okay. In the past, if you wanted people to play a game you worked on, and by in the past, I mean the 90s, you had to work at a major publisher because they were the ones that had the money to put units on shelves, because it cost a lot of money to ship physical media around. Digital distribution changed that. Now, there are a ton of smaller publishers, and a lot of the smaller publishers from back in the day, like Focus Home Interactive, now Focus Interactive, have become exceedingly larger and larger because digital distribution allows them to reach people that they otherwise would have had to spend millions to reach. And then you have marketing and other costs to convince people to even go into stores to try to find the game. It was expensive. But what does this mean for development? It means you don't need to work at AAA no more. You can hop back over to smaller studios, personal projects, and make games on a smaller scale at a more reasonable budget, because these smaller studios are staffed by the people who know what they're doing and used to work at the bigger studios. So you have all this talent pouring into these smaller studios, and then you have the AAA studios left with their DEI and ESG hiring. And as Endymion is now covering, these have to subcontract out to these. There's a good example right here. The Witcher 3 director forms a new studio, takes a lot of the talent with him. And this is not exclusive to CDPR. Bethesda has had this happen. Ubisoft has had this happen. Rockstar has had this happen. Dan Houser has formed a new studio. Leslie... whatever Leslie's last name is, I forget offhand, formed a new studio and is making a new game, and he took a lot of the A talent with him when he left. You got to start viewing these AAA companies not as people, unchanging, maybe they shift, personality from time to time, but you got to view them as nations, with people migrating out of them, leadership changing, leadership dictating how the nation is going to behave. Because when you look at it like that, it makes a lot more sense. And that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for tuning in. Hit like, subscribe. See you in the next video. Peace.